Rifftrax. Why you always gotta pick Rifftrax? It's your lucky day, it's time for Rifftrax.
Hello, I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. And welcome to episode 32 of Every Rifftrax Short Reviewed, where I take 5 Rifftrax shorts in chronological order, review them, and give them a rating between 1 and 5, with the points being good, great, awesome, fantastic, and spectacular, because I don't think a bad Rifftrax short exists. Before we jump in, I just want to ease everyone's minds that I have not completely fallen off the face of the earth or anything in the last month and a half, and I also want to give my thanks for the amazing support I've gotten over this last 6 weeks. For those who missed my update around Christmas, I've been dealing with some really bad depression lately, which has been especially scary since usually straight up anxiety is my thing. The scariest part was suddenly being unsure about my videos when their consistency was a huge deal for me. But thanks to some new meds, cutting out a lot of stress in my life, and the amazing amount of love and friendship you guys have spread my way, I'm ready to jump back into my riff-filled world, and I hope you are too. So let's dive back in with episode 32 of Every Rifftrax Short Reviewed. Number 156, What Are Letters For? From September 23rd, 2011.
What do you see that begins with the sound of the letter B?
Not the letter B's! Oh, no, they're in my eyes! Oh!
With a title like, What Are Letters For?, you might think the short is simply about answering that simple question. But oh no, after the narrator quickly and accurately summarizes what letters are for, the kids in the short then go on to confuse the poor children ready to watch this thing by singing the ABCs, but omitting the vowels for no discernible reason whatsoever. Suddenly that whole section is rendered pointless as the narrator goes on without the little moppets to give us a bunch of completely random words which are in no particular order.
Letters stand for sound.
Oh, question answered. End of film.
B, C, D, F, G, H.
Oops, someone should reboot these kids.
Now I said my BCDs. Tell me what you think of me.
I think you've been brainwashed by the consonant lobby.
Listen for the sound of the letter F in feet.
Or in China, appetizer.
You will hear the sound of the letter N in
Camel.
nose.
Oh, of course. What do I think? Okay, how about K for kids endangered by stupid, probably drunken monkey handlers?
The meaningless words continue to cycle between animals and the actions of various children back and forth at the narrator's ever-changing will, while there's just no rhyme or reason to it. And I still have no clue why vowels didn't get any respect in the opening of this short, since every single word presented clearly has crucial vowels within them.
Red.
As in lousy, stinking commie chicken red. You disgust me.
Pig.
Oh, so cute. I just want to put them on spits and roast them. Yes, I do.
Jump.
Unfortunately, some guy was watching this while standing on a tall building.
Jump. Okay, wow!
Yummy.
Feed zoo animals whatever the hell you happen to be holding. It's nature's way.
You'll hear the sound of the letter V in van.
Watch the van suddenly speed away when a police car parks nearby.
The letter G has 2 sounds.
Let's make it pick which it loves more.
Listen for the sound of the letter G in goat.
Goats, known for their love of bananas.
Calf.
What's that? Prodigal son is returning? Oh, me.
Cycle.
Can you hear the C and see what kind of a film you can make out of this pile of stock footage?
What do you see that begins with the sound of the letter D?
Chewbacca's dad, Itchy.
Balloon.
Ah, the most whimsical form of littering.
Though the short may have a grammatically incorrect title while simultaneously trying to teach kids about reading, it has no actual point to it after the first minute or so, the riffs make it entertaining enough to get a 2.5 out of 5.
Listen for the sound of the letter Z in zebra.
Listen to the sound of many Z's coming from your teacher at the back of the classroom while you suffer through another pointless educational short.
Number 157, Making Sense with Sentences, from October 11th, 2011.
Well, Joey, any ideas?
No, not yet.
I have an idea.
right.
Kid, run for your life!
Listening.
Now here is an absolute classic in the Rifftrax library. Let me take you all to the magical land of Grammaria. What's so magical about it, you may ask? Well, there's a kooky old man called the Sentence Smith who has a little boy named Joey come to his shack to figure out how to write a functional sentence. The boy has to learn using the Sentence Smith's 3 random grammar-related questions, which are clearly written out to sound whimsical and interesting, but end up being none of those things. Okay, that might not be anywhere near as magical or fantastic as the short wants us to believe it is, but there's also a random monkey in the background that's never remarked upon or explained, so what more could we actually expect from this thing?
Somewhere, little known to the rest of the world, is the island of Gromeria.
Birthplace of math.
Beautiful island.
Background monkey, how's it going? Wait, what?
Now, just what can that be?
Community theater demanding your return?
I'm here to learn about sentences and take my place as a full-fledged grammarian.
Well, it's about time. Let's get started. And you can call me Mr. Smith.
Remember that, Mr. Smith. Definitely my real name. If the cops ask any questions, I'm Mr. Smith.
The answer to these 3 questions...
Grammaria's other name is Awful Puffy Shirtistan.
How is a sentence like a horse and carriage?
I don't know.
Why do I look like a middle-aged lesbian doing a little Dutch
You'll
boy
have to
cosplay?
pretend that the carriage is the subject and the verb is the horse here.
Of course, horse is actually a noun, but try not to get confused.
Without the horse, the carriage doesn't go anywhere.
Much
And
like
without
Mr.
carriage,
Sentence Smith,
there's no
ever since
point
his
in the
house
horse
arrest.
going. Same with subject and verb.
Okay, stop ignoring the monkey.
How is a sentence like a horse and carriage?
Or a plus-size blouse on a small boy.
Now,
Little Joey goes through all of the Sentence Smith's games, and the Sentence Smith just grins like the psycho he is and continues to play his role as the grammar-based puppet master. All the while, the monkey is frustratingly ignored when it would be a million times more fun to watch that than the current insanity that makes us question our very lives and purpose on this earth.
how is a sentence like finding a treasure? I just happen to have a treasure map here. Let's try an experiment.
Mr. Sentence Smith, why did you just tape a big red X to your pants?
Let's go look.
All right.
Kid really squandered his request to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Turn around 3 1/2 times.
Okay, the monkey is even on the map. Damn it, give the audience what they
10
want.
paces forward. The treasure you want people to get is your meaning.
Treasure is
And for
very
them to get your
disappointing,
meaning,
Joey, just like
everything in the
life.
sentence- Let's listen to some music and see if you can work out the answer.
In the meantime, I'll keep hollering at you.
That sounds awful.
Thank you. I hoped you'd say that.
Now this rubber hose beating will be justified.
Things sound better when you do them one at a time.
So never say
Right.
2 sentences
The idea
simultaneously.
is you can't back to the board for you.
The water board. I'd hoped it wouldn't come to this.
Did you ever see elephants walking together, Joey?
I've summoned all the powers of darkness to bring my plush toy collection to life.
That's nice, but I came here to
Bow
learn...
down before my magic toys, Joey! Worship them!
Just like elephants, using connective words instead of trunks and tails.
And remember, a snake
I'm
can be
sorry,
used as a
you have to have
participle.
A sentence is like a horse and carriage.
No, damn it, no! Totally, completely
Go
wrong!
together, just
This is a short I've seen countless times, and I'll continue to go back to it over and over in the future. So of course, I've got to give it a 5 out of 5.
And now we'll do it backwards.
Oh, please never say that again.
Right. 6 paces.
Number 158, Jobs in Cosmetology from October 25th, 2011.
It is here that your ability to please clients with personalized services is important.
And if you fail, the Cosmetologists Union may cut off your hands. Harsh. They are firm but fair.
For a short about getting a job in a salon, this one's a lot more brown and drab looking than I would have thought. We follow a narrator and various footage of cosmetology students to learn about what this type of schooling and profession would entail. Apparently, that includes a ton of info from old people teaching about all the various ins and outs of the job and just how frustrating and unenjoyable it'll be.
If you choose a career in cosmetology, you'll probably start as an assistant.
It's useless.
or
Forget it.
Or you
I'm
must
done.
learn the many ways.
Ketchup on the head? Beheading your competition
The
is
state
important.
licensing requirements can be satisfied through the usual 3-year courses at public vocational
Alas,
schools.
poor Yorick. He
or
was a
at many
terrible
accredited
hairdresser.
professional beauty councils.
Everybody you talk to, you're going to teach something different or show something a different way of doing it. Everybody.
For instance, instead of scissors, I use my teeth and gnaw the hair
As
off.
a teacher, when I walk around,
Who's a good old lady? Who's a good old lady? You are, yes you are.
State examinations for a license to practice as a cosmetologist are generally conducted as often as once a week.
As
More
often as
frequently
once.
if a group
Holy
of
crap, that
applicants
is
is ready.
seriously often.
Are you being sarcastic?
I don't even know.
examination.
Now, as someone not in this line of work, I can't really speak for it, but the narrator built it up to be one of the most trying professions a person could choose, and while I'm sure a lot of that is based on perspective, I don't think that's actually accurate. However, after hearing a couple snippets of small talk you have to make with customers, maybe it is one of the most taxing jobs out there.
Personal neatness, good health, physical endurance, and plenty of patience are important requirements.
For the U.S. Marines, to be a cosmetologist, just cut hair and smoke a lot.
And this must all be examined by your examiner.
In an examining fashion, examination-wise.
And we wish you success.
And for God's sake, don't copy my hair.
It is a career that can be followed wherever you choose, at
There,
any
see?
time of your
Look
life.
how misshapen your head is. It's amazing.
I'll bring good Sundays. Do
you have any children?
No.
I am incapable of love.
We're working on it.
For example, wigs, which in recent years have reappeared.
After the mysterious wig vanishing of 1963.
Very important that when you apply this that you be careful. The eye area is a very delicate and fine area. It has no oil glands and no muscle.
However, the eye does have thousands of ravenous eyelash mites.
Applying the lash.
This style of short is just a great watch, and it gets a 4 out of 5.
All right, thank you very much, Harry.
Someday we'll all be bald mutants and my pain will be over.
Number 159, What Makes Things Float, from October 28th, 2011.
What makes things float?
God and his merman.
The second short today, where the very title poses a question, unlike What Are Letters For, this time we have a narrator who actually spends the short answering the question instead of rambling uselessly for 10 minutes straight. We join two boys on a fishing trip when they start to wonder what makes things float. The boys twiddle away their summer afternoon weighing various objects in their boat just like any kid would. And when they can't figure out the answer for themselves, our friendly neighborhood narrator takes us all to a science lab to run some floating tests.
Young America Films presents Coronet, Hitler's greatest ally.
Did Alfred Higgins ignore warnings about Pearl Harbor?
And ACI, well, hell, even we love those insane bastards.
What makes things float? A list of materials the Addams family's beloved pet used to build a vehicle for the Mardi Gras parade.
Kevin, get on a bus and go straight to hell, okay?
Ah, this is the life.
Exile at sea for unspeakable crimes.
And one of those bricks from your anchor.
Let's put that through my ex-wife's windshield.
And the brick sinks, so floating can't depend on just size.
Congratulations, you've disproved something that nobody had asserted.
That's the idea. Try two things that weigh the same.
Jim's mom and a full-grown sow.
A lead sinker.
An object renowned for its floating ability.
But what makes things float can be explained easily in a science laboratory.
Well, the citizens of this town burned the lab to the ground years ago.
The narrator has a pair of disembodied hands show us several variations of the same exact water displacement test. Taking the same boat, water, and sand, we get shown the same repetitive experiments until the point has been drilled into our skulls. But I'll give it this is at least a short that actually teaches what it's supposed to, and in a coherent fashion that kids could understand, so kudos to this one.
Here's a model boat.
The blind kid who made it tried his hardest, so go easy on him.
It displaces water. The water is forced higher in the jar.
Just as I'm forcing you boys to endure this.
Suppose we take out some of the load.
This concealed shipment of heroin.
Of course, the real purpose of a boat is to carry something, like sand.
Ah, yes, like the great sand merchants of old.
The boat sinks lower and lower. We can weigh the water that overflows by catching it in this glass.
Man, mixology is complicated.
But first, another glass of equal weight is put on the other side to bring the scale into balance.
Thus, the harmony of the entire universe is restored. Walter, quit milking the scene and just weigh the damn boat.
Now, if we add sand, the boat becomes heavier and displaces more water.
Now, if we add water to the sand, it displaces more boat.
The music from a Thin Man film really jazzes up the science.
More sand is added.
Young Anakin Skywalker flies into a rage.
And still the boat balances the water it displaces.
The result has baffled physicists for centuries.
An object will float if it is no heavier than the water it displaces.
A fact so important we had it printed on stucco.
This buoyant short is better than I had remembered, and it gets a 3.5 out of 5.
The part of the boat that was filled with steel is now filled with air, which of course is much lighter than steel.
Lighter than steel. Well, I'm learning something.
Number 160. Let's Pretend Magic Sneakers from November 8th, 2011.
Someone's been watching At Your Fingertips boxes.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to drop acid before waltzing into the Converse store? Well, wonder no more, for here we have what can only be described as the worst high ever. We start with a clearly orphaned and filthy little hobo boy. He finds a psychedelically colored shoebox, sees the shoes it contains inside dancing around, and promptly sheds his own manure-covered tennies toward the possessed ones instead. Then they take him skating on railroad tracks and seem to move on their own, possibly trying to lead the boy to his own grisly death.
We now return to Acid Trip Babies, already in progress.
Our story so far, a tow-headed boy finds a matryoshka painted by a homeless person down at the train yard.
If your shoes are walking around by themselves, it's time to consider washing your feet a bit more often.
It'll be nice to have shoes that don't have scorpions living in them for a change.
Judging by his appearance, I'd say he was recently buried alive by his friends.
Back when young boys were encouraged to play on the railroad tracks. At this point, discovering a dead body is the best outcome this kid can hope for.
Next he finds a syringe caught in a rat trap, picks that up too.
Before you even have time to question what you've ingested today and make sure you haven't taken any hallucinogens, things get even weirder. The boy goes chasing after his red ball when suddenly this thing, who I can only describe as the Phantom of the Opera after deciding to switch to a mud mask, descends on the boy and demands he hands over the shoes. Instead of showing an ounce of self-preservation and giving the monster the shoes, the kid refuses, and it's time for the most depressing, whimsical chase scene of all time. After escaping the harrowing ordeal, the kid decides to get off the drugs and toss the shoes onto the next train out of town. Easily the most sane thing to happen in this short.
Maybe this is a drug film, and by that I mean the film is actually made out of drugs.
Benny Hill saw this and wept in anger and shame.
It's a nice soundtrack if you like beatniks jamming with Lurch.
Might be time for him to accept that his love of fancy capes is hindering his assaults on children. You know, I had to face that too, and it was tough, but boy, howdy did it make a difference.
Clearly, this is twisted beyond belief. But is it really any less insane than a blue furball teaching kids to count in Spanish while devouring cookies?
Such a cliche. All kids with magic sneakers pursued by creepy blue-faced guy movies eventually come down to a giant colorful cube.
This movie was designed to prepare children for hell, wasn't it? There you go, Tom Waits.
Aw, thanks, kid.
This is one of the most nonsensical things I've ever seen in this series, and it gets a 3 out of 5.
The Magic Sneakers, the story of one boy's special page in the yearbook.
As always, thank you all so much for watching, and of course, big thanks to all of my incredible Patreon supporters, including Jackie Ball, Kevin Nata, and Jill Johnson. I especially want to thank all my Patreon supporters for being so generous and still supporting me even after going on a month-long hiatus. I wouldn't have blamed any of you for leaving, but you all stayed on to support me, which is just so humbling to me. I hope everyone out there enjoyed this video, and that you're ready to finally have more Faith's Take stuff. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.